Hey everyone, welcome to Echoes in Exile. We are here with our monthly podcast here about Path of Exile 2 and what has been going on lately. By lately, I mean the last month. I'm here with Barricade and Spooker HD and Hberg LT. And if they would like to go around and introduce themselves, that'd be great.
Sure, I'll kick it off. So my name is Barricade, full-time content creator on YouTube, Twitch, and X. I stream 4 days a week. I primarily play ARPGs with these lovely people. And in today's podcast, we're going to talk about Path of Exile 2, the state of the game, and I'm excited to dig in.
All right, I'll go next. I'm Spooker HD. I also stream on Twitch, YouTube, and also part of podcasts of many. And we'll be doing exactly that, talking our takes about the game Path of Exile 2, its direction, and kind of what we think, the goods, the bads, and all the in-betweens.
All right, good stuff. Yo, what's up? Hberg here, ARPG fanatic, full-time Twitch content creator as well, stream about 5 days a week. Heavily invested into Path of Exile 2 at the moment. Also like to tackle some Diablo stuff as well. You can catch some of my stuff on YouTube. And super excited to just chat today about the future of the game, the current state, and what we have in store and what's to get excited about, and perhaps what may be some things that need to be fixed, right? So we'll shed some light in the dark areas and, yep, have some good chats, some constructive stuff here. Hopefully maybe some things that other players and perhaps maybe the devs can take away as well for some inspiration. And yeah, happy to be here. What's up, guys?
Perfect. All right. So everyone, welcome, and let's start in our first segment. We have down here is the delayed leagues and the controversial bans, as far as what's been happening with is using the mechanics that were in game, not that they came across them and then reported, done, let's move forward, or it's abusing the mechanics that were improperly put. And as far as the delays, the drama around that has been with so much going on, and they're continuing to say that they're trying to still hit the point of around the end of this year ish to hit the release, the full release. So as far as, I don't know if I want to get into any of the class leaks or anything like that. I think we could just leave that out, to be honest, because
we definitely talk about that. That's a big vital role of Path of Exile 2, right? Everybody's looking forward to that. But
yeah, I mean, teasers or
yeah, 100%. You know, we get into what we have time for and what we don't make for. You know, throw it in the next episode, right?
But and I mean, perhaps data mining or not, you know, there's speculations here, and
right.
Well, yeah, right. Well, true, right. And let's just jump straight into the first topic, right? Delayed league. We're referring to Path of Exile 1, Path of Exile 2. This is Path of Exile 2, right?
Yes, correct. So, well, the main idea around the delay and the drama that's been is they're trying to stick to a point of when they want to release their leagues like every 3 months, right?
Didn't they say 4?
Or at least 3 to 4 months around every new patch and update, right? Am I wrong, Barricade?
It's every 4 months, bouncing between both products. So Path of Exile 1, Path of Exile 2, there's going to have a 4-month life cycle. And it's going to be basically every 2 months you'd have a new experience from Grinding Gear Games. Yeah, that's what they just released that. They being Jonathan Rogers on the Talkative Tribe podcast. I think it was, what the fuck is it called? What's his thing called? I should know this. Still Sane podcast. So they just did that. That's like kind of breaking news. Yeah, pretty sweet. Pretty good to hear. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was just I think it's more around that with everything that's going on and all the bug fixes and how far behind we are without releasing, I guess, all of the classes and everything else that they wanted to release. Although that's just like a perspective from like everybody on our side of things. We have no idea what's going on internally. They could have the game completely done and just releasing it as they see fit, and then while they're fixing the bugs. So who knows? That's just the talk of the town, I guess.
Right.
Well, I remember in the interview there with Talking to Try, Jonathan did mention that they had quite a few miners, I guess, like data farmers there, and they said for like substantial hours, and they farmed a substantial amount of data, and there was a lot of stuff that they were also unaware about, and also had forgotten they even put it in the game. So there's a lot right in Path of Exile 2 right now, and especially early access where things are changing constantly. There's ongoing feedback, things need to be buffed and nerfed, and still things to be released. So yeah, it's for these guys right now, it's sort of like take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and like he also mentioned, right, polish over pace. So I think
Right.
whenever we do hear about delays, it is certainly for a good reason, because they don't want to have a they want to release something botched, right, and they just have more people complaining, which then will diminish the player base very soon, and a 4-month league becomes into a 1-month average, for the general player base. So
True.
there's still a lot to polish, right?
Oh, of course. There's a ton to polish, and on the side, from my opinion, and then we'll get yours, Barricade, right after that, since Hberg went first. When it comes to like the delayed league, right? We're looking at it, and their initial release timeframe back in December, right? They said 6 months to a year, right? We're at the halfway point, and they've already brought in so much to the table just in that 6 months. Now, yeah, a lot of people are expecting more, right? Because we've only gotten one class, we've gotten 100+ support gems. I think we got a new weapon, and a lot of fine tune and adjustments and changes, and of course backlash, right? Backlash from the community because people just don't like change. Whether it's good for this half and bad for that half. Like my build got nerfed. I can't run my build. I was the with the shield explosion, destroy the boss in one big boom. And yeah, so I wasn't upset because I expect it. I take the other side of things when it comes to that. But as far as the delay, what's the big thing that we take from this, right? The continuing delay. Is it going to create a healthier game, better development for the game, or is it do we think it's going to cause more trouble? Are they going to get review bombed? Are they going to just maybe take a turn for the worse? So
I think they're the best ARPG there is, so I don't think there's any downside for them taking longer to make better quality, honestly.
I agree with you. Barry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, it is only EA, so the more they delay these
Right.
things now and somewhat perfect it by the time they're ready for full release, that is probably the best thing they can do, right? Because again, it is early access. This is the time for trial and error, and we're all in it together.
Yeah.
I mean, Kate, I'm sure you would agree, right? That take the time to polish it up and release a somewhat near perfect product versus an ongoing project sort of thing, wouldn't you say?
Well, we all have everybody in this conversation. We all have the beauty of perspective, right? We've all played Diablo 4. We all know what it's like to play a game, and I'll call it right out, that is not polished, consistently under development, not tuned correctly, and the experience of it going through and enduring that after 9 seasons now, it's still not having a refined game that feels exciting and knowing exactly where it's at is something I would have much rather waited for. Now, when D4 first launched, it felt amazing, right? It was nice to get into a new experience from a Diablo 2, Diablo 3. I think we all felt that. It was nice to try that new thing.
Yep.
But after having perspective now, it's like I kind of feel like I would rather wait, be delayed, and get the new class, new weapon, new bosses, new monsters all correct before just getting to market. And I think hearing Jonathan say that in the podcast, again, that's Still Saying Exile podcast. It's like so nice to hear. It's like, damn, that's exactly what I would want as a player. I think even Spooker touched on it. It is, what does it mean? It means we have to wait. And for some people, they don't want to wait. And that's okay. The cool thing about not wanting to wait is you're in the ARPG genre, right? You still have Last Epoch you can enjoy. There's a myriad of Diablo 3, D4, D2, PD2. Grim Dawn even's coming up lately. There's so many games you could play. PoE 1's got 3.26 coming out.
Torchlight.
You don't have any limit. Torchlight Infinite, right? There you go. You don't have any, there's no lack of games you could play. So with perspective and with time, you're going to get the best version of the game, which I think we're currently enjoying. So I think the wait is worth it, and I'm going to give them that time to cook because their recipes have been delicious. And I agree with you, Reaper. I think it's going to be the best ARPG in the modern age. I think so. I don't know what's going to stand up to it. There's nothing even close. So let them cook.
Yeah, even in early access right now, there's the amount of and not just the amount of stuff, but the amount of quality stuff that we have.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's insane. And the story, even if you're into the story, a lot of people aren't that play the RPG genre, and I understand that. They just want to go blast. But the story is even there, and you could tell there's so much more you want to know already. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and especially with 3 more acts to come out and expand the story as
Yeah.
well. And
Is it 3?
yeah, we'll be diving into that a little bit later too.
I've heard some controversy
'cause
that it's not 3 more.
Who you been talking to
we're at-
saying it's not 3? Who you been talking to? Who?
Uh,
Give me names. Who?
I can't say any names, but I've
Then
heard.
you didn't just say that. Yeah. Okay. I've heard there's 12. It's like,
well, no,
you know,
I've heard that, and I don't remember exactly where I saw this, but there was some speculation on there potentially being actually 6 more acts that they were going to release instead of just 3. Now,
I see what you're saying.
obviously, it's just controversial, but you know, it's on the internet, so it must be true, right?
rumor has it.
100,000%. It was somewhere on Reddit.
Rumor has it. Yeah.
okay.
I've
Sorry,
heard
2
that.
seconds. Sorry, 2 seconds. Just to touch on that, what would be interesting is if what you say is factual. How many acts are in Path of Exile 1? How many are there?
There's 10, right?
10.
Well, technically
Right,
11
so-
with the end game, right?
Sure. So about the number you're suggesting, just so happens to be 3 plus the 6 would be 9, close to 11. So that would be interesting. But from the mouth of the mothership, right? From his lips to God's ears, it's 6. It's 6 in total. So unless you want to drop names and sources, which I'm down to hear, it's 6. Tell me who. Drop names.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. Certainly
Yeah.
nothing on the forums or any YouTube videos, but even since the very first announcement there, when they mentioned how it'd be 1 to 3 and then cruel 1 to 3 and then full release, it'll be acts 1 to 6. That is all they had planned. And
Yeah.
didn't even mention anything in regards to expanding the story in the future with expansions. But hey, I love it. 6 acts. That's great.
Site sources or GTFO.
Hey, no, you gotta throw the randomness garbage that you hear out there. It's just too funny.
Yeah.
It creates the talk. That's true. As far as things that are coming, the loots and the crafts and the stuffs and the drops, there's going to be so much more coming in the next patches that they have coming out that they haven't even truly announced yet. But what we've gotten already in this last month in as far as the loot increase, the ease to get the loot, the increase. This topic, I guess, crafting, because we have more options than what we had before. I feel like, as far as access to crafting materials, what's that thing that we got, Barricade, where you combine the 2 things? What's that called?
Recombinator.
The Recombinator. I have no idea what that is or what that does, but that's in addition to crafting. So I'm looking forward to more stuff that they come out with crafting wise. But as far as loot drops and all that, we've got a ton more things, a ton more unique drops, soul core drops, new soul cores, new ways to implement drops and increase powerful loot, I guess would be the saying.
Yeah.
But as far as all that, even more than what I said of a topic, what is your opinion, Barricade, on loot, the way it's been?
Quick question before we jump into the actual topic. What was announced as far as like new crafting abilities? Was there anything that was actually like said, like was there the new craft outside of the new soul cores that we obviously mentioned? Was there something else that they said was coming?
No.
I know they did say something before, but I don't know if that's already came to fruition or if that was the Recombinator.
No, so the Recombinator was released with this league here, but in terms of crafting, it basically just said with the addition of the new Soul Cores, Talismans, and 22 runes, that will just make endgame crafting more, variable, more exciting, and also a little bit better for target building as well, or target farming.
Okay, I missed the new runes too. I thought it was just the new Soul Cores and Talismans. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so as far as I'm aware, and things can slip past, but I think to reference your point, Reaper, the only thing that would be new for crafting would be their increased, and I want to say it was like 6x, the increased ability to create corrupted essences, which you would then use in the crafting process. That would be the only thing. And like an example of that for anybody who's kind of new to the game would be you would take a white normal item and you would use a essence to guarantee it's a metacraft, a certain result. And so from magical, you can then use a greater essence to make the magical item rare with a certain outcome. And if I don't know if you guys ever did this, but like I've tried many times using Val orbs on essences to corrupt them and get that higher tier. And when you do that, you subsequently have a harder fight because the rare monster has more modifiers. He might immediately break out of the ice.
Oh yeah.
Right. And it's very exciting, but the dopamine wasn't there and they kind of recognized that. So they've greatly influenced it. Again, it could be 10 to 6x of improvement on that. So it should happen more frequently. So to what you mentioned, there's 43 items coming and we know, let me see, I think we know 5 of them. So we know 3 of the runes, we know 1 of the soul cores, and we know 1 of the new talismans. And so I was saying this before I kind of went live here. I did a little bit of work on this. So when it comes to the talisman of Thraldana, this is the martial weapon one. We kind of just spoke on this, right? If you have the stacking toxins on your skill tree, if you took building toxins, comorbidity skill gem, snakebit gloves, I got it written out here, and you have a martial weapon that's a 2-handed weapon, and you hit a 3rd socket on that Val orb, and you have the Deadeye Ascendancy, if all these things are checked, you could now cite 16 sources of poison with like greatly reduced duration, but you could quite literally carpet bomb stuff with gas and then like flash it with fire, like firewall, flame wall, whatever, or radiant grief, I think is the helmet to immediately ignite gas. So there's definitely a poison build here that no one's even seen the magnitude of that yet. And that's going to be all new with 2.1 coming out. With the Soul Core of Takati, the Affliction one, this one's kind of interesting. I first read it and I didn't give a flying rat's ass. It goes in the helmet slot and it says enemies you curse have a -8 chaos res. So I did some due diligence to kind of, I did as much as I could, and I might be wrong on this number, but I'll try. The base default for monsters in PoE 2 that they could have for resistance and chaos is 50%. Plus, there's a chaos mod that modifiers can be applied to certain bosses with. But assume that the game's base is 50% chaos res. With this new soul core, you now have the ability to go in the skill tree. There's one, I don't think I have it recorded here. There's one skill tree node that you can grab that gives you -7 chaos res. But in addition to that, if you had Wither effect gives you additional chaos damage. With this helmet, Soul Core applied. Anyway, long story short, it's -47. So you might finally be able to completely almost erode all the chaos resistance in the game, which would be very exciting for leveling builds like Contagion, Dark Effigy, and in Essence Drain, ED, which is pretty good now, would be really good then, but who knows what this Soul Core is. It's supposed to be an endgame farm, so to have a chaos build, like maybe this is what Jonathan Rogers is talking about, maybe the idea of like the Acolyte of Cheula, wanting something like this might make some sense finally. And then finally, I'll break it down because I've been talking forever here. The body armor, the Great Wolf, that's 10% damage taken before mana, before you take the hit. That's going to be kind of exciting for certain builds. The cool one for me was the movement speed, actually. So the fact that you can go up to 50% movement speed now is pretty
50?
sweet.
Yeah,
you go up to 50.
Wicked, yeah.
Yeah, and so
wasn't 35 the previous max?
So 35% is the previous max, but the Soul Core gives you 5, right? I think it's a Soul Core, it's a rune, one of the two.
It's a rune, yeah. Pharaoh's Rune of the Chase. Yeah.
Okay. So the Pharaoh's Rune of the Chase is 5%, but if you Val Orb your boots and you happen to hit the corruption, you could have 2 sockets at 5%, which is 10, plus the 35% then corrupts up to 40, so that'd be 50. So you'd be moving
snap.
In addition to like whatever else. Yeah, it could be crazy. So then you have, I think it's Galewind, something like this. It was in Path of Exile 1. Tailwind, that's right. Tailwind Elusive. Those are the boots. So Tailwind would make you really haul ass. So that's exciting. And that's just 5 of 43. And so their idea of trying to push dopamine, I'm excited for it. And that's just touching the tip of the iceberg. What do you guys think? Quite a bit there.
I think for starters.
Go ahead, Spook.
Yeah, I think for starters, that's like you said, just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's still 90% of the new stuff that's not coming. So I guess a retroactive question for that particular topic is a lot of times, like for example, movie hype, they show you like the best scenes in the movie during the trailer, right? So is this kind of the same case where we just saw the best of the item drops? Not that there won't be some very good potential items, runes, talismans, or soul cores that come as well. Do we think anything else might be sneaking in that they didn't announce?
Lots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've been getting all sorts of ideas and brainstorming like all week when we're reading over this. Like we're seeing +1 to level of all spell skills. We're certainly going to see melee, projectile, right, stuff like that too. Minion, etc. Most likely, Then we're seeing movement speed here. Perhaps I know there's already a talisman that will give you CDR. But maybe there's going to be a rune now for cooldown reduction as well. Maybe there's going to be a rune for actual global defenses too, right? Raise global defenses by 10%. Instead of just like the iron rune, which would give you all 3 sources at a fixed amount, but perhaps maybe we'll see a greater version of this, right? I think this is great. Maybe there's going to be runes for projectile speed as well, right? There could be, perhaps maybe they're going to add a rune for forking, maybe terrain, ricochet, or who knows? It's all very exciting because if we're only seeing 3 of the runes here, and these are all pretty great stats and modifiers, right, to really amplify your build, we have 19 more, right? And if this is the direction they're heading, and they did say we want these runes to, amplify that chase factor and really, excel your build to new heights. Oh man, super excited. Yeah, because we all know. Go ahead, Reaper.
I think the reason I say minimum is as far as a dev goes would be the word, I guess. As far as dev goes, yeah, there you go. English.
You got it.
This team, if you have never played another game, and this is the only development team that you've had your hands to get dirty with, you do not know how fucking spoiled you are. I'll tell you that 100,000%.
I agree.
This dev team consistently delivers. They're consistently, now they had hiccups, and who doesn't? Everyone's fucking human.
Well, it's early access,
but they're completely open and with the community. They always look for feedback. They always over deliver, and I mean they're consistent with, hey, let me give you some salt, and then they'll pour the whole mountain on you. Like, it is crazy. I just wanted to say that it's amazing.
Well, I think it's very important though for a dev team to be this transparent and responsive, especially during early access, because early access is the same as trying to promote any product you're selling, right? I mean, we're trying to say, hey, look, check it out. This is what we got right now. Let us know what you think. If you love it, great. We're going to keep making better. If there's something wrong with it, let us know. How can we fix it? How can we improve it? Because they want to, appeal to the masses. And this is, again, just reiterating that early access, this is the time to do so. And I think they're doing a great job with that.
You mentioned the word melee, and it like clicked in my head what I was doing. Barricade, when we started, by the way, the witch wasn't working for me. So I started a gymling. And that works way better for me. I don't know why. It was my softcore character, and it works great. So doing a hardcore gymling. Anyway, I was using spear, and then I got a 2-handed mace drop, and it was doing more damage. So I was like, let me. The page stats were higher damage. So I was like, let me throw it on to level. Wow! If you have not used maces.
Yeah.
Where is that? Because even just the feeling of using it is insane. You feel the hits. That is the best way I think I've played so far in this game. And again, I know whoever wasn't here on the last one, whoever hasn't known about me, I'm the new player on this panel. I haven't played ARPGs before. So this is all coming from perspective of the new player side, which is, I think, what I bring to the panel. But it's not knowing what that was before and putting on that 2-handed mace. Oh, man. Yeah. I'm just using auto attack.
Yeah,
I haven't even done anything yet.
But you bring a valid point to the table, right? The diversity and the differences and different things that you can do in the game, right? And you just experience it for the first time, and that grasping feeling, like, holy cow, this works. And as it should, right? Because mace is literally the slowest attacking weapon in the game. So you would think, at being slower, heavy hitting.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
No, hang on.
Wait
Let
a
me
minute.
finish, and I'll let you jump right out. When you swing that heavy hammer, it should have a big, impactful hit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
But let me
Go ahead.
first.
Go ahead.
Let me say, you guys need to reframe this shit different. When you guys say this is the slowest hitting in the game,
It is.
what people like me hear is don't touch that fucking weapon.
True, but that's just the opinion.
True,
It's,
but when
it's
you
the
guys are
slower
talking,
attack speed, right?
when you say, "Hey, Barricade, this is the slowest weapon in the game," he knows what you're talking about because he plays these games.
Right.
He's like, "All right, well, it might hit hard, but it's slow." What? Yeah, that's like the general mentality: hit hard, but you're slow. But like, it's not that slow.
No, they've adjusted it. They've made adjustments because a lot of the player base actually made complaints. Like it's too slow for
then
the
also,
hammer hit.
I might be talking in my ass then because I didn't try before.
No. It's valid points. Spooker is essentially just dropping technicalities here based on sheet, like it is, right? Like the base attack speed of that weapon is of course slower than flails, swords, daggers, axes, etc. Right? But again,
how do you know the attack speed of a flail? You tell me right now who you've been talking to. And
no,
you
saying just in terms
Cite
of
sources.
just in terms of relating it back to PoE1. But in general, yeah, in these games, these types of maces and big hammers are usually the slowest attack speed base. But it's the power shift you still feel, and there was Rolling Slam and one more there. Rolling Slam and something else got a 30% base attack speed buff too, and it felt much better. But it's still really good. It's not a matter of scaring new players saying, "Hey, don't use this. It's way too slow." It's just in comparison to other skills like even the crossbow, the bow and arrow, etc., etc. But it's still it packs a huge punch and should never be slept on. It's very fun gameplay.
True.
It's very engaging. It's good. Yep.
It feels good. Yep. That's the best thing I could put that way. Even if you don't like it, it still feels good.
So
that's good.
Speaking of melee, right, and the whole mapping experience on melee, pre-buffs of the slowness and all that stuff, that's one of the places that the melee did kind of struggle was mapping, right? Endgame mapping for the mace, right? So with mapping, we also have some upcoming changes and adjustments to the Atlas and the endgame going on with like the map weight rebalance, right? They are adjusting. For example, they quoted Hidden Grotto popping up at like 70% of the maps on the Atlas.
37.5.
Yeah.
37.5. 150,000 out of 400,000. Yeah.
I mean, it felt like 7 out of 10 nodes on my Atlas was Hidden Grotto, but hey, we'll take that number, sure.
Yep.
Spooker goes in spirals.
No, he's not wrong. Every map was that map. I know exactly what you're talking about. Every map. I was like, where's the build diversity here? Like, where's my water biomes? Where's my savannas? Like, I want to hit those jeweler orbs. What's going on? And I kept seeing the shaman. I'm like, you basically don't even pull the rock out of the earth because I already know what's coming. Like, I know this map like the back of my hand, right? Like,
speaking of that, though, like what you just said in the biomes, and again, I haven't hit a lot of maps at all, being new. Especially.
Can we stop for a second? Last time we did this show, you didn't do endgame. How is your progress since? Because I hope there's been some leaps and bounds, right?
Look, no, this season is slow as shit.
No,
I am.
We failed you. How can you not be blasting 15s?
Well, I can just make a bunch of excuses, but basically, it's just not happening this season. It's like I would like to. It all comes down to medical stuff, but it's it is what it is.
Real life.
I heard hardcore earlier. Is that not partaking in part of the not making it to endgame too?
Well, by the way, if you ever listen to anybody tell you, like Barricade, get into hardcore and it changes your perspective on the entire game. He's not joking.
No,
I'm not joking.
No.
I've died repeatedly. And then finally, when I was saying, I made this gemling. When I killed that fucking boss, who's the first boss? I can't even remember. When I killed that. Yeah.
The wolf.
I literally threw my hands up and screamed.
Miller.
Like,
Listen, he's killed me. He's killed other people here. Okay, he used to be buggy. It was not easy. Okay?
I haven't died to him yet. I take pride in that.
You will. You will. I'm happy for your success. Yes, it's good. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep.
Anyway, now I'm completely overstimulated on this and forgot what we were talking about.
We're talking about the map rebalancing.
Yes, maps. Okay. Did I interrupt you by? Yes, I did.
No, I interrupted you like an asshole. Go ahead. Continue.
No, I think it was me because I interrupted to talk about Gemlink stuff, I think.
No,
That
it's all
made no
good.
sense.
We're all getting in here, right? We're all getting engaged.
yeah,
we're just having a good time.
Yeah.
Well,
No, it's good.
anyway, Citadels and stuff, I'm just going to go to the next topic because I don't know how to transition because I got it.
Just relax.
Just
It's
relax.
talking.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah,
It's all good.
let's talk about map stuff for a second. You were talking about
Yeah,
biomes, right? A lot of people that I game with, they want the ability in the Atlas. This is not in our notes, but they want the ability to choose the biome they run. They don't want to have to do a sprint from map A to map B just to go see map C because it's the kind of biome they want because they decided to go that way in their Atlas skill tree. And this wouldn't matter too much to you because you haven't got to the end game yet, but maybe the other gents in here. Wouldn't you love the idea that you could just choose every biome that you want? Wouldn't that make the end game better for you?
I would love to
hold
run
on.
more Sandspit.
Yeah.
You guys can remember better than me. This was the whole reason I interjected before. The biomes. That's what you were talking about. So I never noticed last season the differences in going to grass and water, and you're supposed to get different drops in different biomes. That's what I was going to say. So have they done a better job? Have they increased that, or is that just my bad luck?
It's a two. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
So your 2 points there with the biomes, right? And you said the grass, water, desert, etc.
Right.
So if you spec into that Atlas node, right?
Local knowledge. Local knowledge.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, sir.
Oh,
Local knowledge, depending on the biome, you'll receive more types of currency things. There'll be more types, right? X amount. There's 3 different sources of 3 different types of item families that you will allocate or target farm, right? So having these biomes now a little bit better proportioned and a more consistent variety of them, that Atlas node would definitely be more efficient, and especially again for players target farming, right? So that's a good move. Secondly, is the main point is with Atlas and Endgame, it's their most expanded version yet. This whole like self-generating no man's land type of Atlas map thing that they got going on is also new to them. But their main focus is they don't want it to feel so repetitive, tedious, and just mind-numbing. Right, just aimless farming, and again, they just want us to have a goal, have something in our scopes, and really just chase it, right? Go after it. And so I think the rebalance and the new generating and reducing the hidden grottos and the Val factories and the the auguries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is a huge W. This is going to be very refreshing for every player, new, sweaty, casual, doesn't matter. It's definitely going to cater to everybody.
Wait.
And it's a great change.
Wait. You named all the maps in the game right there, right? Because I'm pretty sure that's all I've ever seen.
Yep.
Hidden Grotto,
Yep.
Val Factory,
It's a very small buffet.
and Augury. Like, you're telling me there's more maps coming to this next update?
We will get at least more than we will see more than 2 Sandspit, my man, in our entire Atlas. Yes, I promise. Yeah.
To be informative, I think it'd be beneficial to tell people, like, one of the big changes is when you get in the end game, and in Reaper, you're going to experience this now, hopefully when you get there in 2.1, is that the citadels that spawn, there's 3 kinds, copper, iron, and stone. And in the current iteration of the Atlas, you have to go and discover where that is. And they've done a lot of due diligence because, and I'm going to step back for a second, then precede. Because when they first started working on the end game, they were working on early access Path of Exile 2, and it wasn't in the development cycle plan to even have an end game experience. They realized their position as a company and said, we've got to offer something more to our player base because this campaign content isn't going to be enough. There's not enough meat on that bone. So the team knuckled down. They kind of grinded this end game process out for us, which is basically mapping plus delve from Path of Exile 1, give or take. And since that release, they've been getting a myriad, like copious amounts of feedback from community members like me, you, and everybody else, right? And from that, that's now kind of developed into what we see today as the Atlas, which is cool. But going forward, there's a big issue. It was that I don't know where these citadels are. I don't know how to get to the Arbiter of Ash, the main boss, because I don't know where this thing is. How do I get there? And they started adding things. And you're going to see this with corrupted nexuses, which is nexi, which is like a red kind of fog inside the gas or the fog of war in the Atlas. And then you're also going to see beams of light that pop up. And that tells you that's where you're going to go. Now, Angormus and others that were in a Darth microtransaction private league recently got completely screwed because it took them forever to find all those citadels. He spent 12 hours live trying to grind this, went to work, came back. After work, went right back to streaming, trying to do the competition to win and lost. I think he won. He got it. But it took so long, right? And so going forward, after GGG caught that, they now say, okay, every time a citadel spawns, whether it's copper, stone, or iron, we're going to put its brothers and sisters right near it. So when you discover it, it's there ready to go for you. So you don't have to go like 12 hours of wondering which way to go, because it's supposed to be central to the map, and it's all really kind of strange, right? But they're going to be fixing that for everybody. So long-winded answer again, but that's what's coming.
Yeah,
awesome change.
It is. I 100% agree. Huge W. And also another thing to mention is, like, while they're more just better clusters, right, of all the citadels being together, we now get 3 different types of biomes. You know, there's all sorts of maps you won't see across the regular Atlas outside of these citadel type of biomes. You know, you'll get maps like there's Val City in there too. There's a
Necropolis.
I think there's even Necropolis, right? Whereas, you know, where you fight Dravid and such, Reaper, if you're familiar, remember, where you know, you get to the Tomb of the Consort and such. So you get sort of an area like that, and you'll get an area like Lost City, right, in Buried Shrines from Act 2. So really good variety. And you don't, like Parakeet was mentioning, you're not going to see us and these other guys spending 12 hours just to find even one. Right. And
the other exciting thing is, like, you know, we're kind of touching on this, kind of skimming the surface, but the unique maps that exist, like Moment of Zen, those kinds of ones where you kind of want to chase those, like Castaway for XP, Castaway for gold, and like Untainted Paradise for XP. Those should be more prevalent because the base biome type is going to be updated, right? So all that geometry landscape getting updated is going to be awesome for everybody, and hopefully awesome because they do it right. Hopefully it's not a kick in the nuts and it feels good to play, but looking forward to it. It sounds good on paper. Hopefully it's good in practice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Good points.
Woot.
Yeah. So that does bring you into, like, we already touched on it a little bit with 18 more maps or whatever Spooker said we're getting, but we're going to have Acts 4 to 6.
Yep.
And I believe that
they're there now. They're just so rare to see.
Just
they're there
so
now.
rare to see.
They're not new maps. They're not new maps.
Incredibly
Yeah. It's funny because he hasn't seen them. Yeah, he doesn't know.
Yeah, no, that's
real
unfortunate.
quick
I'm
question
sorry.
regarding that. Real quick question regarding
what do you got?
How many times have you guys actually seen or farmed the map Cenotes? Cenotes with a C. Out of 1,200 hours, I've hit it twice. 2 maps.
Describe the layout. What's it like?
So Cenotes, Cenotes. It is like a mixture of it's like jungle, but it's like waterfall as well. So ravine. It's a mixture of like ravine and steamy springs, I would say. Right. It's kind of like Oasis themed jungle, like a running river. But usually when you start, you're kind of on the edge of a cliff with a waterfall.
Do you know who the boss is for that map?
Nope, because I've never actually spawned.
I want to say like 2
twice. Yeah, same. I've only ever had it twice, so I'm hoping to see more of these.
Is it the same kind of one from the Trial of Chaos? Same kind of layout? Is that what it is? Like,
well, that one, it's similar. That's more of the ravine one, right? But
okay.
And,
it's rare.
It's kind of a mixture of both, but it's a beautiful map, and we want to see more of it. And, you know, other cool maps like Lofty Summit, I can still probably count on one hand. Right?
Yeah, but that boss is a trip. Lofty Summit is Blackjaw. He will.
Blackjaw's a good time.
That guy scared the shit out of me. I was running one of my towers, right, in hardcore, and had the boss. I'm like, yeah, not a big deal. I totally forgot that the boss is Blackjaw, but he's lightning. I'm like, I'm out. You win. I'm out. There's no shot. I'm doing this on T7. You have extra damage as fire. I know where this goes. I'm gone. Yeah. That guy will kill you. He will ruin you.
What a rush.
Yeah. Oh, I'm out. I'm so gone. Yep. Sorry, go ahead. So,
and he activates the surrounding guys too, right? Or is that a different map?
Not on that map. Like,
okay.
He actually doesn't even have anybody in that fight, but when you're fighting him, he could activate because there could be minions around, right? Like,
yeah.
You get a sea hag or whatever. It's like that fight's a mess.
By the way, speaking of that, because you just brought that up, I've been waiting for you to pick up some pet hags over there. I haven't seen it yet.
So I use the Quadrilla. I use Nanners. He's awesome.
I know, but you wanted that sea hag.
Yeah, baby Kong goes hard
to get those sea hags out there.
I still don't know if anybody even tested that, but guys, what he's talking about is like I don't even know if you can even capture one because I don't
That
know if
would
it's
be cool.
I don't know if it has the
I don't
beast
think
tag,
I don't
right?
think it's a
Yeah.
beast. I don't think it's a beast.
It's not a beast. I believe they're
man.
undead. But even
What
think
about the
like you're saying,
spectrals?
taming or spectrals. Yeah, but it's Spooker. There you go. Right on this point. Back to the whole Soul Core of Affliction, the -8 Chaos Rosary. Even getting some of those cultist archers, right, as your specter, and
Oh,
you're
with the
flying this.
flowers. Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be some. Hopefully, we can see some of that. A little bit more popular here and ripping through some maps. Very cool.
I agree.
Have you guys tried any other beast as far as minions go, or capturing anything else other than, or is that like the go-to now? The monkey.
Well, the monkey's hitbox is great. So if you're using things like his aura or the temporal bubble, I'm pretty sure we already debunked that the actual size of the hitbox doesn't necessarily matter in terms of its radius, right, of presence and such, because it's actually like if you look on the minimap, you're a little X. That is the center of your 3D modeling / hitbox, right? I'm pretty sure it's taken from that point. But there's one thing we did notice though, is it's the snakes, the spitting snakes. We like to call them Arbok, of course. The snakes with the temporal bubble have a massive radius, and if you use enormity, the support gem, your temporal bubble can quite literally cover the entire screen. So anybody in your AO on your screen, no matter how zoomed out or zoomed in you are, will be minorly slowed. But it does it's hard to pick between the two because the Quadrilla always just has such great speed, right? And especially if you're relying on its auras and presence, he's always right beside you, very tanky. And also just straight up looks badass. But the snake is
So
also very useful there.
Is that the only three? I think that's like the only three things I've seen people capture is the armadillo, the gorilla, and the snakes. Is there other things with the beast tag?
I think it's because those are the three main ones you run into throughout your campaign in the beginning, and the three like hard-hitting ones right at the beginning, where you're just like, okay, these three are the big ones that have the big mods on them. They're at the beginning of the campaign when you're weaker, they hit harder. They're more durability, so you grab them right away as soon as you get your thing. That's what I think.
My answer is going to be a little bit more jaded, though. I'm going to have a little bit of a sorry, just like real quick.
I think it can be biased. That's fine.
I think it's biased. I think there's, and this kind of goes to like a previous point. There's a lack of. I feel this is an I feel, right? I feel like there's a general lack of build diversity and testing amongst people that I talk to in game with. People generally go to what works, and because of that, you might feel like. We all feel like, snakes, Arbok, right? You got quadrillas and you got antlions, the charger. That's what we see, but we don't know that there's not 800 million people. There's not 800 million people trying all the other beasts, and maybe they have a build that it coincides with that selection better. We don't know that, but when I see it, binoculars out in the AO, right? It's like I only see successful builds, meta choices, because they're the obvious choice to get you across the finish line, right? Even though I think the journey's the most part. The journey is the best part personally. A lot of people, in my view, like the finish line more. And it's like that's just a quick way to get out of the race. So you're kind of shortchanging yourself. But I can't think of a certain beast that I would even want in a build that I would use outside of the minion setup already. But again, that's the finish line viewpoint, right? Instead of just going into the idea of like what's fun to play, and that's what more of that needs to happen. Then we all win, right? Like the point that Hberg just made, like the enormity on that temp bubble. Like I've never tested that, but I love temp bubble. I love the idea of doing that. Why didn't I do that? I didn't test, just didn't do it. So we all could learn a little bit by just testing, I think. Yeah,
I agree.
I can see that 100%. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a topic. I think I'm going to skip the next one with the axe and go into druids.
No. Let's touch on that because I personally am very curious about that.
There's a good point here.
Yeah. Okay, let me hear.
Okay, so for example, right now we're doing the same thing twice, right? Which we're not. A lot of us are okay with that, right? But some of us want something new. But if you think about it, the roots of Path of Exile stemmed from what game? I know you don't know this, Reaper, but Barricade?
This is Diablo 2.
100%,
D2,
right?
right?
So,
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
okay, well, you said this is your first step into the genre, so I'm not going to assume that you know it or don't, right?
This is very much PD2 D2.
No. Well, okay. But anyways, the root stem, the GGG developers have said it was heavily influenced. Path of Exile 1 was heavily influenced by D2, so you can only assume that Path of Exile 2 takes a lot of that influence with it, right? So with the repeating of the 3 acts, right? What did we do in D2 for many years? Normal,
See, this part of it.
nightmare,
We repeated it
hell.
3 times.
We just did it 3 times in a row. So a lot of people are saying, well, we want to see the new stuff. We want to see the new stuff. And we got all these original or OG players playing it that are like, okay, this is fine. I'm okay with this because then I know I can go through 1 through 3. Once I learn 1 through 3, boom, now I just do 1 through 3 again, but with a better build, a stronger build, and I can make it faster each step of the way. So from my perspective, my question for this to the 3 of you is what do you take away from this, and what would you prefer? Would you prefer it to be similar? Because in Path of Exile 1, they do a similar. It's the same campaign, generally speaking, but like bouncing between timelines and different changes in those mapping things. So do you want to see something similar to that? Or do you want to see some brand new style experience for the acts of 4 through 6?
Hberg, go first.
Yeah, cool. So I actually like the idea of the acts 4 to 6, right? And Path of Exile 1. Like I wasn't a big Path of Exile 1 player, but I did get a chance to go through the campaign. And knowing that after completing Act 10, I was getting into Atlas was kind of refreshing because going back to your first point with D2, that's a 20-plus-year-old game, right? A lot of us have played it for thousands of hours, and during that time, that was just the way the game was. That was the way things were, right? You do, your acts 1 to 5, and then you do it again, Nightmare and Hell. But now, because we're, quite literally spoiled in a good way with all this great variety, we don't have to stick to that same method of madness, right? So not having something linear and not so repetitive really just helps keep the gameplay refreshed, especially, on a 4-month cycle. And if you're going back and forth between PoE 1 and 2, that's only a 2-month cycle for you. So you don't feel like you're literally just running the hamster wheel over and over and over and over, even if you are making new builds. So I think this is better for the long run. Yeah, right. Again, not so aimless and repetitive. And it's just, I think as well, even for the other side of, say, the competitive side of things, speedrunners, right? And the race even that they're hosting. Instead of, instead of only doing now acts 1 to 3 and completing normal Doriani is the finish line, we'll get acts 1 to 6. So there can be, higher eye level areas, monster level areas. You can see better drops happen to influence their run and change their luck. So instead, I think it's going to be better all around. You know what I mean? Instead of just going around in a circle over and over, not feel so tedious. It's better for longevity there, at least in my opinion.
So more direct answer towards that question. You want it to be kind of a new experience and not a similar experience as acts 1 through 3. You want it to be like completely different set of 3 acts, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Because absolutely.
Okay.
So we already know that Act 4, and we know a little bit about Act 5. We know Act 4 is island content, so it is all new. It can't be the same 3 because there's 50 new unique monsters, which is 50 new unique fights, and that's going to be based off of new zones. So one thing that GGG is doing very well is like every boss that you fight feels like it's part of its environment, right? It's got like a live kind of vibe. So you can expect that the new content coming out will be all new. To Hberg's point, he raises a great point. The current races held by GGG are Acts 1 through 3. Doriani, you get a cool new crown and like armor, cool. But you could do that now. You could extend those races if you wanted to, like just because you could do the cruel acts too and get that new difficulty, new drops. But people don't because there's currently no incentive for it. And when GGG supports the 1 through 6, I would not be surprised that there's going to be, even better rewards for that too. So I want a fresh new experience. I want new fights. I want new challenges to overcome, and I want sweet ass loot for overcoming those. I want to get that dopamine kick for slapping this new Hell Angel that looks like something out of Elden Ring that I can't wait to lose to. Like, can't wait. Will I go in blind hardcore? Yeah, probably because I'm nuts, but I probably shouldn't. But I will, and that's what I want. Reaper, what do you want?
I definitely want new shit. Especially someone coming in new. When I first heard about one doing them repeatedly, I wasn't I wasn't too upset because of the early access. What more than anything is like, oh, I have to do this every time, every league, every character. That and I'm sure you guys have heard this multiple times throughout the years, especially with new players. There's like, why is this a thing? Now that I've played a little bit, I understand a whole lot more.
Yep.
And it's not as bad as you think when you first start. But I still would want new stuff. To be honest, if it was absolutely what I wanted, no matter what, as if that were to happen, I would want them to have a brand new campaign every single time with no repetition. Every league is a new campaign.
That'd be some
Like, it could
serious
start-
dev work.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I understand.
Would you pay $100? Would you pay $100 in expansion per season?
Yes, I would.
You're one of
But
very few.
Yes, but I'm a
you're
different
of the
person.
you're amongst the 1%. Yeah.
I would drop. I don't play games as a hobby. Obviously, it's a fucking hobby. But I play 10-year-long games.
Training. Yeah.
I play 10-year-long games. I live in the game that I play. My last game was a decade. The game before that was a decade. That's 20 years of my life.
Hey,
in those two games.
This man's a liar. He doesn't look a day past 18. You're lying. There's no way. Yeah, there's no shot.
It's when I drop so much fucking money that I don't even have. It's crazy.
Well, let's talk about this, right? This game's free. When this game comes out, the way Spooker's talking about it, it's a free game. So when I asked you, would you spend $100 like per season? You'd have to employ a whole new army of individuals to produce that much content at the level that GGG does. And one guy who didn't give us his opinion was Spooker. So what do you think?
What do I think? I actually enjoy the repetitiveness as far as like running through the campaign on different level of difficulties, right? But I also did experience the whole Dark Souls where you go through the campaign 11 times and it gets more difficult each time. Then we have Diablo 2, which you run through the story 3 different times on 3 different difficulties. But what I loved about it was that each time you ran through it, there was a new challenge that you had to face. It was the same fight, but there was a new challenge, whether it was a new move that the boss did, whether it was a new resistance, like say you're running through the game on a sorcerer as a fireball sork, right? And you run into a hell immune dude and you're like, oh shit, I didn't prepare for this. How do I kill this guy? I'm all fireball. Okay, well now you need to go somewhere else or go back to the plate and maybe level up some skills into some of your lightning skills to multi-diverse.
I can agree with like when I guess it might be a tough thing to see. That's what the kind of, I guess what I meant before is when like it's a lot better than what you think it is starting, because going through it multiple times on different characters is almost like a brand new game.
Yep, different playstyle,
really
different
interjecting
your character.
Different
so
weapons,
Spooker, I wonder, Spooker, do you like the Atlas?
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. I absolutely am disgusted by the endgame system, which is why I have spent very little time in mapping in general. I do mapping when I have to, whether it's to just blatantly farm currencies or just to get some drops to sell for gold. I actually loved running through the campaign on hardcore, 25 times on a warrior until I made it through. So
the reason I ask is that you like, he likes running the same content on different difficulties to get a new experience, which is what the Atlas offers, but he doesn't like it. But he wants it because he likes it. But I know what you don't like is the Atlas, but you like the scripted narrative of what the campaign requires of you when you obtain power, right? It's not a whole different fight. It's just different levels of fight, and you are stronger now, correct?
Right.
It's like theoretically, you should love the Atlas because that's exactly what you say you want. But just like me in the Division 2 and like Destiny 2, I can't stand that shit, but I'm supposed to like it. It just doesn't hit for some reason for you. And I think it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's interesting to me that you
And I'm
don't.
pretty sure I know why, though. And it's being fixed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah,
Citadel hunting. You know how
Okay.
many maps I went straight to the right for probably 3
Everybody goes to the
days,
right.
3
Everybody goes to
days
the right, yeah.
straight. You know how many Citadels I ran into? One.
0.
Oh, you got
ran
one?
into
Wow.
one. I ran into one Citadel. And I was like, cool. When I found that first Citadel, I was like, there's hope. Wow. But then, because this was in the beginning before some of the Atlas changes have occurred too. There's been change since. But when I ran into that one, I was like, awesome. Then I realized I need 2 different Citadels in order for that Citadel to even be worthy, right? You need 3 different Citadel keys in order to access the next step of that content. And that's what I didn't like. I love mapping. Don't get me wrong. I love opening a map, going into the map, killing the content, killing the boss. I have fun. That's fun. But what I didn't like was where that mapping led to.
A lot better than the pit, though. Go ahead, Ishward. Yep.
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
you,
No, I was just It's a good point there with the pit. I was gonna compare the two as well, but yeah, right there. And like the thing is, you like you're saying, you have to find 3 of them. So that's before they made these changes, even the ones that we have now and the ones upcoming in terms of Citadels and the Atlas. Yes, it was exhausting. Like I would say the first few months there of Atlas, even before Dawn of the Hunt, and they brought those great changes where the Citadels will show a beam of light through the fog, et cetera. They're more easier to generate. They're closer to your starting refugee point. All that great, but before that, no exaggerating, didn't even find a single one in every direction. The only Citadel that I saw, my
Jeez.
Atlas map didn't even let me reach it because I had 2 broken paths. I couldn't get across the water, no matter
wow.
which way I
remember
went.
that. Yep.
Yeah, so that was actually kind of funny, and it's glad to see that won't happen anymore. And then the other point you had there too, where you enjoy going through the campaign more than mapping itself in the Atlas, and you only have to map. You only map when you have to, sort of thing. Understandable, and it's an odd perspective, not for you. I'm just saying, just in general, the concept of it that you're excited to get through the campaign and feel these triumphant achievements, these power increases, taking these bosses out, right? And getting past the challenge, whether it's softcore, hardcore, ultimately to get to the Atlas map. But then when you get to the Atlas, you're kind of just like, okay, what now? Don't feel like doing this. This map sucks. That map sucks. Okay, clearly that Citadel is,
Yep.
4 hours of farming away, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I agree. So
4 hours would
I
be a
think-
good time.
I think one thing that they did that kind of just hit me in, the introduction of the corruption and cleansing that, as far as Doriani is who we talked to at the end to do all that
Yes.
shit.
Yep.
Yeah. So as far as him giving us the quest that actually means something now, which they're 100% right to do, because before it's just pointless. I think if they push more into that direction, where, what would you call it? Goal oriented or goal driven.
Right.
Instead of just running maps willy nilly, you're boom. I'm going to hit this. I got to do this. I got to make Dory happy, and then boom, good to go. Like, I think that is really good. That will definitely be
It
great to
is.
me.
But on the same note, I've gotten Doriani's quest through the corrupted nexuses to tier 5 maps. And that was when I was consistently playing. It's like,
Right.
how, and like we've said many times, they're adjusting these rates, which is great. I love it. And I would love to enjoy mapping. I really would. But with the corruption, it's like, before, I knew if I ran 10 tier 1 maps, I could get to tier 2. Now, not only do I have to find a corrupted nexus, I have to complete it without dying. Now, when I die, now I have to spend another 4 hours finding the next corrupted nexus just for one tier rather
Well, I
than
think, like I said, like that's why I
But
think that, like, if they go push more in that direction to where it's like, okay, well, like it's not just I'm going for 4 hours and I come across one corruption. Like it's like that's your job because the whole world just blew up and you gotta
Oh, I
you gotta
agree.
fix it.
I agree
Kind of
with you,
deal.
but from a gaming standpoint, right? That
Yeah.
just that you do not feel that progression, right? And that's what,
Right.
in my opinion, I feel a lot of players look for,
Mhm.
right? If they're not getting that progression, they hit that wall,
Right.
they lose interest and maybe don't want to play anymore. And that's a
Yeah.
big thing which GGG
Yeah.
is fixing, and they're listening to their player base. And that's
I
kind of
do
where I
think
was
they
going
do.
with this argument, is that I didn't like it, and I don't think I was the only one, but now GG's making adjustments and changes to make that particular aspect of the game a much better and enjoyable experience.
Yeah. And like quick little point here, even a little concept here. Let me know what you guys think. Like I was thinking about this the other day and chatting with the our viewers as well. And this atlas is, kind of, it's still RNG the way it generates. Yes, they are sort of allocating better numbers and fixing it so I'm not too sure on the dev side, but they're making it more common to spawn more frequently, right? As we push the fog back, but it's still RNG at the end of the day. There's no guarantee. But and then what is something that we see right from the get go that is, the ultimate challenge of a regular map? It's a map boss, right? So my idea was that, like how Spooker was saying, we could run 10 tier ones and we can then we'll get the Atlas points, then we go up to T2. Awesome. It was a good system. Some people thought it was a little bit too lengthy, too grindy. I totally get it. Not everybody can play for hours a day. Cool. Valid point. But I think I was thinking maybe if you defeat a map boss, then it will actually, further govern you Atlas points, right? Then that's like, so instead of having to complete a corrupted nexus to receive or complete the quest and move on to the next one, you would be doing it with map bosses instead. And then as you come across corrupted nexuses, that can be a different Atlas skill tree, entire cluster. And say you can actually put points. Once you defeat corrupted nexus bosses, those maps, you will then get those two new Atlas points, like how you do for Audience with the King, how you do for the Breach Lord, etc., etc. And then there could be a new Atlas cluster that says, it'll just literally boost your corrupted map. Say you can get a point that'll say an extra +1 level to corrupted zones. You could even say density increase. You could say more quantity of items, rarity, duplicated rare monsters, etc., etc. That way, in order for you to actually get right down to the grind, straight off from the Atlas, you're focusing on map bosses, which is the same thing during the campaign, right? You're trying to get through these acts and complete this boss and get feel the achievements, the rewards, feel the power increase, and get on to the next mission. So it would be nice to see a little bit of a rework there. I do agree with you that chasing these corrupted nexuses and relying on that RNG and hoping to get lucky that one spawns closer is a little exhausting still. It's an interesting system. I don't mind it, but I think it could be a little polished.
I suppose I'm the odd man out. I like your idea, but I actually have no problem with the corrupted nexus now. I don't have an issue with it at all. I can clearly see where they are in the smoke. I know that a corrupted nexus is spawned off of a cluster of maps, which will be updated. I feel like the current iteration is more than sufficient. I will say skill issue. I think you have to know what you're getting into when you go for that nexus. I think that the award now is very good compared to the content requirement. So you get much more Atlas passive nodes now by completing one, and subsequently you have many less that you have to do. So that makes it, that was the compromise from GGG, and I think it's fine. I actually like Spooker. Unfortunately, I have no problem with it, and it sucks that you feel that way. But Hberg presents a pretty interesting concept of like getting rewarded for doing it. It being the corrupted zones, and to your point, Hberg, which is kind of cool. In the update of 2.0.2.1, they're going to be categorizing the corrupted and the fractured. Like, what do they call it? It's corrupted, and there's another version. Cleanse. Thank you. Corrupted and cleansed modifiers on a map are going to be separated now by modifiers, so you can quickly identify why a map has that. So, to your point about like maybe expanding on those ideas, they might already have that. They might already be doing that. One thing about the Talkative Try interview, which is interesting, is that GGG has monster bosses, like bosses, ready to go for every zone in the game. There's already guys there. Every endgame activity, as an example, use Breach, you've got Zesht. They have other bosses that we can fight. They're already modeled out, they're ready to go. but they're not ready to go to market because the animation's not done and the effects aren't done yet. But the fact that the company wants you to have that variation in the end game is exciting, and that's what I'm looking forward to as well. And maybe to your point, like maybe they have a new corruption boss, and I would imagine that this beast that we're seeing will probably be that guy, and whatever the cleanse thing is will probably be like the antithesis of that. But I can't speak to any accuracy because I don't know anything about that, but I could see it being true, and that's me not hating the current process, and I'm willing to go on that ride with them to see where it goes. So. That's all.
I want to say that like I agree with your point.
I agree with this point as well, right? I'm not against it.
Well, the reason and it would be from the perspective of, again, the new into the genre and stuff like that. I have a very difficult time getting to the end. I've never fought one pinnacle boss, not one time. I've been to, and this is what I was going to say. It's kind of ironic. Last league, when I got the maps, I ran into 3 citadels in the first 30 minutes, and I just walked in there and died on every one of them.
That guy, oh my lord!
Yeah. I didn't know what I was doing. I just went in there and died right away on every one of them.
Wait a sec. You're saying 2 things that don't make sense. Pardon me. You said you're running a T15 Citadel boss. You ran all 3 and died, but that's a T15 map.
Yeah.
So you have done maps to T15. So you have seen the endgame.
Last league.
But you have seen the endgame.
Yeah, but last league. Not this league.
That's the same shit.
Well,
sir.
Because I've always said, Barricade, this league I have not made it to game.
I understand this league you haven't done it, but have you ever done a tier 15 map in Path of Exile 2 Early Access? Have you done one?
Yes.
Okay, so then fucking A. You're not the new player perspective. You've seen the mountaintop and the sunset. You just happen to get shit on by an airplane that kind of took you out.
Yeah. So like most of the stuff that I've done, let's say this also. I haven't even done one ascendancy by myself.
Okay, but that's counter to the argument. Like you have fought the pinnacle bosses because you got to maps. Did you fight?
No. Okay, you're talking about campaign pinnacles.
No. Listen up. So you did the bosses you died to, right? Copper Citadel, Stone, and Iron, right? Maybe you did the same one 3 times.
No, I didn't even make it to the boss. I walked in the Citadel and died.
Oh, you died to the actual content of the T15 map?
Yeah, I just entered the Citadel and then walked forward and I'm dead.
Argument which is still valid.
Yeah, it's still valid. But and then another good point to shine there. It's great that they have the new respawn system, though, Reaper. So in the future, when you get back there, you'll have 6 attempts or whatever, how many respawns your map key allowed, and especially with Arbiter, you're gonna have a much better experience, man.
I've never seen Arbiter.
Oh, he's seen you.
Got it. All right. Sorry, did I interject in one of his points? I don't remember.
I hope that
it's all good.
I truthfully have no idea what your player experience is in this game. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how far you've gone. I don't know. You know how far you've gone. I don't know what the hell.
He's gotten to T15. Like in a nutshell, he's gotten to T15 Citadels, experienced it, didn't have a good one, died right away. That was last league. This league, hardcore has been a little bit brutal. Doesn't have the same amount of time. Not as good as experience. He hasn't gotten to maps yet, but he will be. Yeah, certainly in next league, of course, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's
what
next league.
But out of all of that, this game is one of the best games I've played.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Whether I die every 5 minutes or not, I think we great.
All agree on that, and that's why we are all here, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So what I was going to point down as far as like being the new player, which I guess I'm not anymore, or I am, or I don't.
In comparison to maybe the other 3 people on this podcast, you could be the newest player of the 4, but you're not a new player because you've experienced the majority of the game, right?
Yeah, I think I have like maybe 500-600 hours right now.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good, man.
I love to hear it. So, with that being said, anyway, we are short on time. Okay, so I want to double up a topic that I want to discuss between the 4 of us before we go ahead and close out. And that is two things that kind of tie together anyways, right? The Druid and the theme of nature in the next league.
I'm already excited.
So let's go
Rupert's
ahead
got
and
me excited.
start with you, Reaper. What's your thoughts and takes on the new the leak of the new potential class that's coming to the game in the next league, which is going to be the Druid, and the nature theme league that's going to come with it?
Well, the Druid's guaranteed. It's not like leaks or anything. It's already known.
Well, yeah,
and
but
I
what's your
wanna try
thoughts
it.
on it and your ideas behind it, and the speculation of what we don't know would be the better take out of it.
Well, okay. As far as like the knowledge that I have on Druid is World of Warcraft.
Okay.
So I'm excited about it, but it doesn't. As far as everything I know about the Druid, other than Dungeons and Dragons, Druid hits. So Dungeons and Dragons, boom, I'm all for it. If it aligns like that, which it should, because that's what baseline any foundation of this ARPG genre is based off of. So I think it's going to be really fun, and especially mixing and matching what I'm excited to see what we have as far as ascendancies on it. That's what I'm really curious about. And then maybe throwing, like, if you have a Druid and you throw on a two-handed mace, like Mjolnir might be the way. One-handed mace even might be pretty cool.
Dual Mjolnirs.
But that's as far as I've thought into it.
I can already see the wheels turning.
Yeah. He's going. He's going to listen to everybody talk and then combine them all and make a juicy build.
There you go. All right, why don't you go, Barricade? Go and share your thoughts.
You want me to go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually don't know the Druid's next. I don't know where that's coming from. It's possible. There's a lot of news that goes on quickly. Did they say anywhere
From
on
what
their...
I understand, it's not confirmed. It's just suspected.
Okay. So if we're just make it... Anybody else? Does anybody else have like a guaranteed on that? Because I don't know of one. But let's assume that there is that Druid's next. The whole nature theme, I have no idea what grinding gear games would do with that, because it blow away my expectations. So I'm excited for anything that they do. So far, it's all a W. The cool thing about the Druid that I saw was this idea that I could shift into human form from a feral form, right? Like a bear or a wolf that we've already seen at like some convention footage way early on. So we know those two were in the game at some point, but there's always a third shape-shifting form that we don't know. It's been speculated it's a dragon, could be a bird, Christ, it could be a chimera. We have no idea. So what I like the most about the Druid is maybe it offers something that no other class does. And what I'm referencing is when you watch the gameplay footage of the bear kind of stomping around and there's that volcano. Whenever you'd stomp near the volcano, more magma orbs would come out, right? So there's this idea that you would piano key in certain events like lightning bolts with volcanoes and stomp around. Do you guys know what I'm referencing? Have you seen that footage?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Party
Okay.
play physics and yeah.
That class is just screaming support. Like the idea that I would link up with like any kind of earthquake or leap slam character would make that duos team pop off. The Druid by itself is already okay, but if you kind of like compare what that was doing on a boss single target at the time versus what other people were doing with like ice-based strategies, its single target wasn't really all that ideal. So I think it's a support class. I could be far off in left field. I don't know. I don't really care about the Druid. I'm a Paladin main at heart. I'm sure it'll be cool and exciting. Maybe the best thing for me is what it offers everything else. I'm not necessarily sure that I care about Druid. I'm glad it's in the game. I want more, not less, but that's what I think so far. Don't know.
But how do you feel with that tied into the nature theme, right? Like
I couldn't care less. I want a Paladin. I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, we're talking class though.
I don't care about I seriously have no interest in it when it comes out. I still want to play a Huntress instead. I know. Okay, here's the thing. I know there's a lot of people that like Druid. I'm just not one of them. Like I don't care. Like, when it comes out, it's like I only want to see what kind of like skill set it offers me to other things. It just doesn't. It doesn't. There's nothing there. You know, it's like running the pits in Diablo 4. I couldn't give a shit about it. Like I just unfortunately, like, you know, yeah.
No,
Those two each their own.
No, that's understandable.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Anyways,
Oh yeah, I mean I totally smokes. I just want to say, starting off, I am the complete opposite. The barricaded turns of love for the Druid. I will say though that Paladin is my number one. For me, it's always been Paladin, Druid, Amazon. Right, those are my top three. But the thing is, like for the Druid class, I'm like a kid on Christmas morning, amplified by tenfold. So it's what he mentioned there too. The group play physics, I think that's great. I also think I've always loved shape shifting. I think the design that they've done so far, the artwork on it is great. You are actually towering over these monsters versus back in the Diablos, you are
Right.
quite literally the same size as some of these smaller monsters, and then also being towered over by
Mhm.
some mediocre monster. So I love I love the concept that you feel massive, right? You really are changing form and just striking fear into all these little rats scouring around. But it's there's so much more to it, because with the third ascendancy, we're expecting a wolf, a bear, and yes, maybe the third one is based on nature magic or lightning magic, right? Stormcaller, etc., etc. It could be earthen skills, right? Or it could just be based on a beastmaster, right? A zookeeper. Everything about summons and companions. We have tame beast as well. So besides their actual skill gems that they're going to release, I'm sure there's going to be wolves, possibly ravens, maybe some creepers, right, etc., etc. It's all up in the air. Massive ballpark here. These guys are cooking. Super excited. But it's also a matter of the group play. So back in even companion druids right now in D4 and zookeepers back in D2, many of us, including myself, have tried to bring this online and enjoy it, but unfortunately you will always hit that wall and you can't farm the content in the game. In this case, it's not going to be like that at all. It's going to be quite the opposite. And party play, right? You have zookeepers, lots of companions, and you have the volcanoes going on and some bear slamming it. You have some warrior coming in here doing some leap slam. It's going to be very, very fun, engaging group play as well. So there's fun stuff there for solo play and great stuff there to get excited about for party play. Everybody can sort of get, they're all getting engaged in what they have to bring to the table. And nonetheless, too, it also, in terms of visuals, it looks great. Right, everybody, everybody likes to feel badass, and certainly the werebear, sorry, and the werewolf certainly deliver that. And it's also kind of, I think it's reasonable for them to drop it for the next league, because think about this league, right? The name of it, Dawn of the Hunt. Dawn is, of course, the start of something, the rise of something, the beginning of something. So perhaps it's Dawn of the Hunt, and then maybe Peak of the Hunt or Moon of the Hunt. And then, how the Druid is essentially, spirit based, but they kind of are hunters as well, right? They collect their trophies, they collect their pelts and stuff, and they tame some of these beasts and their trophies, etc., etc. So I do think it would still fit the theme, if it's nature themed, and a continuation after Dawn of the Hunt. All the signs to me are sort of pointing to green for that, and I'm looking forward to it. If we don't get it, perhaps maybe another melee class. A paladin would be great, I agree, but perhaps maybe another melee class that would maybe start to introduce swords, axes, or flails. I think there was a video there a bit ago. I can't exactly recall whose it was, but they mentioned something about the gladiator. And that, again, totally up in the air, but it would be kind of cool to see something like that before the Druid. I'm a little bit biased. I'm very, very excited for the Druid. I can't freaking wait. It is going to be my main squeeze. We're talking about building polar bear stuff with, slam and shatter type of stuff, herald device, really cool. Or maybe even like an earthquake bear, right? Really, really cool options, but I'm definitely not going to put all my eggs in a basket and leave room for disappointment. I'm looking forward to it. If we don't get it yet, no problem. If we do get a new class, just as good, right? We keep ramping, but yeah, I am full flex for the Druid. Very excited.
Awesome.
I'm thinking as far as Paladin, because I'm looking forward to it too. But I'm thinking they might save that to last for us for the kid, because it is one of the most look forward to.
It'll be something called the Templar, and if they get to the market before Diablo 4 does, what a kick in the nuts.
That's true too. But
yeah,
I think that'll probably wrap up our show today.
What about Spooker? He didn't even get to talk. He didn't get.
I thought he started the whole thing.
Just with the question.
Fuck me.
No, for sure.
Well, I'm a bad host. There you go. What do you want?
You're good. You're good.
No, I gotta hear this from Spook for sure.
I'm very,
curious.
very close to the Hberg excited hype for the Druid. I've always loved the whole fantasy style shape shifting, being able to form, whether it be an army of wolves or bears or ravens from Diablo 2, to shape shifting into a bear that actually looks impactful. I think what shocks me the most about the Druid is the the alpha footage that we got looks so good, and it's from so long ago, right?
So good, man.
So good. I never got the chance or the privilege to be able to see any of the wolf shapeshifting videos, which I think I'm gonna have to check those out after we jump off from here, because that just seems really awesome too. But the whole towering over your enemy as a giant bear that, like, I don't know if any of you guys have actually seen a bear in real life. It's kind of the same concept of seeing a moose in real life, right?
Huge. They're so huge. Yeah.
I did not know. I figured they were like the same size of like deer and
no,
not even close. They're bigger than cars in some cases, and it's like, yeah. So same kind of concept there with a bear, right? Bears are way, like a true big bear is gonna tower over a 7-foot standing tall man like he's a little midget. And it's nice that they bring that emphasis to the size of the bear shapeshifter. Now, the one thing that I am kind of hoping for is that we do also get a kind of like nature magic from the Druid. Now, I know we saw like the earthquake, volcano style stuff, but I would like to see some other potential,
like vines coming out. Stuff like
maybe
that.
vines, tree ants, maybe. Even from minion side of it, or that nature aspect of the Druid that I don't think a lot of games, I won't say a lot, but the games that I've particularly enjoyed have actually like experienced or brought to the table.
Thinking along the lines of like what the caltrops do, but it's like vines on the ground that are like slowing and grabbing.
In essence, like that, but more than just that. You have nature coming in to actually do things for you rather than just summoning a volcano, which I'm not saying that's great. I love that idea too, right? But more of the nature focused magic rather than the elemental focused magic that we already see from like the witch or the sorcerer.
I agree. And like going back to the cold side of things. Right now, over for the cold scene, we have ice comet and maybe like sort of like a frozen orb. Maybe we can get a really like full screen type of blizzard would be great. But one thing that I really hope to bring it in, and I'm glad you brought this up, Spooker, is Arctic Blast. Remember how D2 it was not the best skill, looks cool, sounds great, whatever, but it Project Diablo 2 brought Arctic Blast online, and I'm just hoping we can get something like that.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
PoE 2 as well.
So you referenced, Spooker made some cool points too. So a couple things. You said you didn't see the wolf gameplay footage, but you maybe don't know this. You've already fought the wolf. It's in Grellwood. It's the same thing. Exact same model, same attack animations. That's what you are. You are that big wolf. That's what you become. That's what it was. You mentioned birds. Looking. No, it was the exact same model. Like it was the exact same thing as like a rare wolf. That's exactly what they show.
Oh, wow. Nice. Cool.
You mentioned the birds. The birds would be cool because if you played a minion build, there's something that the skeletal minions don't offer you, or like Spectre that I've seen. I could imagine a bird in Path of Exile being so good that it could pick up monsters and like pull them away and drop them. Like, that's what birds kill shit. So it'd be kind of cool if you had that aerial kind of focus. Maybe that'd be something unique that the Druid can do. It can like almost treat it like knockback distance, and then if it goes so far, you kind of do X damage. That could be kind of cool. So I could see the creativity from the team doing that. You talked about vines and stuff, the nature side. There's not really a lot of that in the game right now, so there's definitely a hole in the market for the spell suite to sort of allow that. So that's exciting. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
The vines would also fall into the category for traps on the passive tree as well, right? So you can actually perhaps influence their skill damage based on those passive nodes in the tree there for trap damage, and even placing them faster, etc., etc. And going back to the army of Pidgeys and Pidgeotos, they could do like a gust of wind and it'll do like a cone type of AOE of knockback, right?
It could, yeah.
Yep.
That's similar to like your other minions where they have their special abilities, right?
Yeah, like why couldn't a bird just have maim or blind built in? Like it kind of rakes the eyes with its talons, like you just get that. It's like, so that's one support you don't have to use or something like in the skill tree. So there's some excitement for that for sure, but
But even something like Plague Swarm too, right? like a swarm of birds.
Insects, right? You call nature yourself. It's all very cool. Like the idea of like a whole screen wide blizzard. Like, gotta watch out because anything that's cold would like abuse the shit out of that. You know, like if you do something like lightning warp or something on low life, you can teleport to through lightning. What if it's like cold Iceman? You kind of start sliding around for mobility. Like Arctic Blast is actually like, who knows? This company, yeah, they're so capable. And I wanted to make this kind of comment before we leave. You're talking about this is Reaper early on. You said like if you haven't worked at another company with ARPGs, like you should feel blessed because GGG does such a good job. But I've talked to the guys at Moon Studios, Blizzard, and I haven't talked to the guys at GGG. But there's not a single developer that I know that makes ARPGs that doesn't work their ass off and that doesn't listen to good feedback. The problem is they don't always implement it in a timely manner. And this is where I give GGG the fucking high five. I don't know, other than Moon Studios, a better company that rolls out a correct update so rapidly. And so it just seemed like this is like the perfect segue for it. Everybody's working for it, but you feel it in GGG. They're so fast with it. They're so quick with it. And I think they do a good job. Where I will say publicly, I know Blizzard works hard. I don't think they work fast enough for the game. I don't think the game gets the updates quick enough. I don't have that problem with PoE 2.
I will say I'm coming from places like Bungie.
Oh, like Halo and stuff. These guys.
I mean, you start at a bar, with Bungie, and now they're just like not even on the planet anymore. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, and so these guys, it's very nice, right? And that's kind of what your point was, but Yep.
And again, smaller team, right? Not necessarily indie anymore, but certainly smaller teams. Incredible, they've created their own engine, right? And it's they are very much aware of the gaming industry right now, and the traffic, and certainly the most important thing, the attention span, right? The drive, the grab, and like we said, appealing to the masses. With so many games out right now, right? We listed a bunch earlier, especially with seasonal content. You practically have something new to start almost every month. And even if you didn't, the average player base in these games, like the average ARPG player, can pretty much peak their entire season within 3 weeks, 2 weeks to a month. Like let's be real here. We see players like already saying, yeah, I'm done everything, got this, did that, beat it all, got all my gear, it's great. Could min-max, don't care to min-max, but I'm done. Don't have much of a drive anymore. Right? But these guys, that's also why they're so quick to respond and so quick to act on it, because they don't want people to lose that drive and interest. Right? Just say, hey, we know.
I would sorry to interject. I would disagree. I would disagree with that. I think this is why, and like we can have and I know we're running out of time, but I would disagree that the majority of people are done in a month. I think not. I think the enthusiasts that we interact with when we stream and make content, we see the guys that are like the tryhards, the sweats, the overachievers, right? We're the guys that are doing the T4 content in D4, the 150 pit pushes, the T15 maps and carries and stuff. Like that's who we interact with and we improve. But there's a huge majority that we don't, and that's the casual audience, right? Love it or hate it. I think those guys aren't done in a month, and I think those guys.
No, certainly not.
Yeah, like they might be around enjoying, mapping tier 2 maps after 2 months because I think that's so. I think the time. Sorry to interject, but I think the timeline is nice for that. But I don't think most people are done in 3 weeks. I think you're right in that most people that we interact with about 2 to 3 weeks is fair. Spooker, what do you think? Sorry, go.
Yeah, it's just like again, but wouldn't really say most. Just the average. I'd even say getting close to about maybe 40, call it 50%. Because yes, even on Twitch or YouTube, there's a lot of players, of course, that we don't see, and then the ones that are already done, of course, we certainly will not be seeing them. But it's just in regards to giving praise to just how fast they are to respond, because they want people to say, hey, it's an ongoing project. We're here. We give a shit, and it's just only going to get better and better and better. So stick around, right? And we're all in this together, sort of thing. But yeah, Spooker, final points on this?
As far as like the longevity, I think the majority of players is not seen, but heard, right? So you talk about like the content creators, and they're done in like 2-3 weeks. Okay, yeah, that may be true. 100%, I agree with you. Same thing goes with like the statistics of people saying, oh, well, D4's dead because nobody's streaming it on Twitch. Well, that's just not the case.
That's not true.
Even Path of Exile 2 is I want to say 90%, the numbers just off the top of my head, but 90% of the players for PoE2 are not seen, whether it be on Twitch, YouTube. 90% of the players are in the background. 90% of the players are on console. Some of them are on the statistics for Steam. Doesn't account for the majority of players, right? Because Steam only counts for Steam PC installs. You have consoles, Xbox and PlayStation. Is PoE2 on Switch or any other console? I'm not sure, but
I don't think it is.
I think the majority of players live through about half of the season, and I think that's why seasons, they aim for about 3 or 4 months, right? So that gives you about 6 to 8 weeks of fun play, and I think that's why their 4-month marker for PoE1 leagues and PoE2 leagues to alternate between each other covers both sides of that aspect, right? You have your content creators that will play for the 2 months because they know something new's coming, so they'll extend the play of those 1% content creators, but they'll also extend the play of those non-content creators because they already are playing for 6 to 8 weeks. And then now you're giving them something new to refresh them on another scene. So I think that 4-month and 4-month alternation is actually brilliant and a great job at marketing for their game and what they're shooting for.
Quick thing here. So in Talkative Tries podcast, Jonathan noted that there was 485,000 concurrent players for Dawn of the Hunt. Like that's where they were at. Concurrent.
Okay.
But when Dawn of the Hunt launched on day one on Steam, you talked about the 90-10 rule. Like you thought there was you couldn't see the player base. On Steam on April 4th, it was 238,000. So you could be spot on the money. Like that's over 50% there, right? Like that's almost 50%. So you don't see the vast majority of people, right? And of those players, how many of them watch content? It's like how many of them are enthusiastic about it instead of just being like, okay, I want to get home and play. Don't care what anybody else is doing. It's what I want to do. I think the vast majority are that way. Yeah. And so, we don't see most builds, right? That's why we don't know what all the tamed companions are. We just don't know. We never will. But that's why, again,
the standalone launcher, right?
Yeah,
the standalone launcher, it won't pick up.
That's why I said 238 because we don't see anything beyond just Steam stats. Well, I mean, I haven't looked, but yeah. Yep.
But 100%.
Totally agree.
So
cool.
Next topic for next episode, right, will be the new content. What we play, what we like, what we dislike, what came to fruition in the new content, why and how, and all the who's what's it's, and I'm looking forward to it. So I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for tuning in with us.
Yeah. We should do a players 4 party in the new content and just make that a segment. We should do that and just talk about it. That way we know Reaper's in T15 Pinnacle clearing. He's going to tell us all about his hero story, how he's just slapping, right? We should do it. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
I'll make it.
Yeah. I know you will. I know you
will. I mean, I will make time. I typically make time for release dates. So whether it's sorry boss, I'm sick, or it's I already have it scheduled off. We'll see.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. We'll make it happen. I think today was good. There was a lot of things covered and really good points made, and again, shining some light in some areas, bringing some different ideas and concepts to the table, and hopefully it resonates well with our viewers and the community members here. And like Spook was just saying, next episode, going through here, we actually have some pretty good topics as well to cover on. Things upcoming, and just some more things in terms of the actual community and player base side, right? Transactions and some consequences, et cetera, exploits, whatnot, right?
No, it'll be good. All right. So with that, I guess we wrap it up, huh? We say GG.
Yeah. That'll be the end of the episode. Thanks to the co-host that I have, and I'll see you all in the next episode.
Adios.
Yeah. See you. Cheers, guys.
Adios.